Hello and welcome back to Worthwhile. I am Angela Kezar and I'm so glad you're here. Today we have a very welcome guest who I am honored that she agreed to come on and chat about motherhood with us. Rachel Jankovic is a mother to 8, ranging from toddler all the way up to college, right? Uh,
Graduating this May, so 21.
wow. Okay, graduating college.
Yeah.
I love it. She has given many conference talks. She's heavily involved in the Bible reading challenge and also author of quite a few books now. And one of those from early on in your writing, I believe, is Loving the Little Years. And that's what we're here to talk about today since you are doing a live webinar over the next month all about that book. So,
Yeah, we're kind of revisiting the original. That was actually my first book.
okay.
It was yeah, 15 years ago, I think.
That's amazing. Well, welcome, Rachel. I'm so glad to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So many of my listeners will already be quite familiar with you, but I do know that there are some who aren't. So tell us where you are today, but then I want to jump back to really what started this, which was 15
Sure.
years ago. Where were you then? So I guess where are you today, and then we'll back it up.
I'm doing in many ways exactly the same thing that I was doing 15 years ago. I am at that time I had 5 kids, and Blair, who's almost 16, was little baby in a bumpo watching me write at that time. She's much taller than I am now, so a lot has happened. But then and now, I just consider myself a homemaker, mother, wife. That's what I do. And the other things that I do, the writing, whatever, that's just kind of occasional overflow of my real work, which is different now, but just in the size of the people and the amount of food I need to be making and stuff. But also just the same, just more of the same, but older.
Yeah. Um, I love that. And I love that you said that because I feel like when I read that book, it's like I can hear you getting up and parenting and very, very much prioritizing your family while you were writing about
It's
loving
a
them.
very it's actually a pretty funny book to read. I am right now, I mean, I didn't it's not like I revisit my writing usually, but this Canon is doing a new audio version of it, so I have been reading it out loud, and it is really funny. It feels like reading your own diary, like it was you, but also you're surprised at yourself. You're like, That's funny," or "That was a long time ago." Like this was a different um it was a different phase of life, different, I was a different person.
Yeah, I love that you wrote it then though, because I feel like a lot of it applies so perfectly because you wrote it
There's
while
a
you were actually
shocking
in it.
there's a shocking lack of filler in that book. It is a breathless, it's like breathless bulletins that are were shot, and it's exactly how it was written. It was written in a big frenzy of speed, and it was all very funny how I ended up even being an author. That book was really formative um for me because it was not something I ever wanted to do or meant to do, or it was just one of those things that I ended up doing because it seemed like what the Lord had for me to do next. So but when I read it now, I know that at the time I wrote it, you can hear that I don't you can hear that I'm like tired and I could take a nap, but I'm trying to get something done real fast.
No, but I think that's what makes it. I don't know. I mean it's truly it is actually really an important book to me because this is so funny and I've you don't even know this. This is news to you. I was had just married Blake, my husband, who you know,
Mhm.
when he was a little tot, and um we were going to the church that his family that he grew up in, but that was a whole new world to me. I didn't know anybody. Was
Yeah.
brand new, and it was a really small congregation, and there were not that many other women my same age, and it meant so much to me. I'll give her a shout out, Lacey Turner, our pastor's daughter. Uh, would make time for me, and at the time, I was young and I had no idea what this was costing her, I think, because she would, like, have me over for an afternoon and take her day. I don't know if she had to skip homeschooling or how she made it happen, but she'd welcome me in, and it was just so special to me. But I remember asking so many questions about how these women around me were building these beautiful families and homes and what was happening here. Like I could see it, but I didn't know how they were doing it. And
Right.
she gave me, before we even had kids, she gave me your books. And I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. This is so wonderful. And it was so great. It was such a little glimpse
That's great.
into everything I wanted to aim for. So, who were you when you wrote it? Who did you think you were writing it to? I mean, it's touched, I'm sure, so many homes and families beyond what you probably even thought, but who
Oh gosh, yeah. It was a yeah. I think that I said it was the book that made me an author. It was actually that I had written one of the chapters in that book was called The Spirited Writer. It was one about helping your kids learn emotional control. Like it was just an image that we had used with our kids about controlling your emotions. And I had written a blog post about it. But it was like I was a young mother, so it wasn't like uh I didn't feel like I had a natural voice to talk to mothers. So when I was writing that, I really was writing to peers. I wasn't writing it like I'm the old experienced mom. I was writing it. The title is Motherhood in the Trenches, and it really is, kind of I think I've signed a lot of those books that say blessings from one trench to another. Like this, like it's like shouting out to someone that's on the same run as you are, or someone, it's like this is something that I was writing to peers, and that has, that impacted. I think that what's funny is that when I read it, I'm like, it doesn't, in some ways, I don't soften blows in it at all.
that's what
because
I love.
but I think it's really funny because I know I was writing it to myself. Like so there are times when I'm just like, you have to stop that. And it makes me laugh because it's not something that you uh that as like if I was to write to young mothers, it's not that I would really, I mean, I think the voice would probably just be different now because it's like I'm not a peer. I'm not, you know, if I'm writing to a new mother right now, I'm an old mother, you know. Like you need to find a different tone of voice. But
That's a funny. I feel that now even when I talk to other young moms, and I still in a sense feel like their peer, but I have to remember
yeah,
when I had little toddlers, the people who had kids my kids' ages did not
they
they
did not
felt
seem
like
like peers.
no,
They
they felt
seemed
like
like much older
miles
people.
beyond what I was doing.
Well, and I have Ezra, our youngest is
Yeah.
just 3, he just turned 3. So I have been having, I mean, I've been in some way in the little years for many years.
Yes.
And but it just is very fundamentally different now. So some of that's just because I'm more grown up.
Mhm.
I don't know, I think maybe the best way to describe this is the first time you have a baby is the only time you become a mother, right? That transition after that, it's just, order of magnitude of what the job is like, but it doesn't fundamentally shift sort of your relationship to yourself in the world. And like just becoming a mother the first time is a big deal. So it really is the little years that is so formative, not just for the children but for the mothers. Like what God does to you in that kind of um you know intense. I mean, I think I said to somebody recently that we were talking about, I don't know, some personality trait about something, and I said, yeah, I think the Lord really roasted that out of me. Like it's like the high heat roast that renders the fat. It's like this is not, that was something that I couldn't keep with me through those years. Like those were the really high heat time of refining, and it really was I think that that's just different. Like that happens at the beginning of your mothering career when you have little kids. You know, when it and it
Yeah.
well, if
Well,
I really got into it, I could probably say I think it happens when you first become a mother, and then whatever point, it could be with your first, it could be with your third, it could be whatever point that you really realize you don't have what this takes. That's
yes.
that's another really formative time.
Well, I agree so much. Like, I remember those, and I think it happens, at least for me, more than once, of this, like, being leveled up. But I think so one of
Yeah, it does happen more than once, but I think, it's like where you're like, "Actually, I'm not I can't do this."
Yeah,
Like
no, it is, and it's good to know, like, I was really thankful that I had read some of what you had written because it was at those kind of pivotal moments, having never seen it
Mhm.
before, like, your book was a really good example of, like, in this moment, I'm either going to let myself be shaped by the Lord or I'm going to resist it. Right
Right.
now is when I'm deciding which.
Yeah, and which do you want? And which one is painful in the next 5 minutes, but so sweet for years, you know?
Right, right, and
As opposed to the kind of like, I don't want that pain, so I'm gonna fight it and have pain for a long time.
well, or just not be changed. Like I've been re-listening to the book and the chapter about life in the rock tumbler is one of my favorite analogies ever because I feel like that's such a great visual of just being this thing that God is shaping. And like
Mhm.
set out, we might have sort of an idea of the shape of who we are, but it's very rudimentary. Like it has not been chiseled at a fine point.
Right.
And then we're watching our children grow, and there's a ton of growth, from obviously from toddlerhood into bigger people and growing up.
Mhm.
I was just reflecting on sort of this going into motherhood and like exactly what you were saying. You're changed so much in those initial few years, and
Right.
and I think there is sort of a tendency in our culture right now to not want to be changed. And
Gosh, yeah.
your book, You Who talks a lot about this, but just that this is part of God's design and I wanted to ask you your thoughts. Do you think that that is part of what God like that's a feature of what God is doing through motherhood? If we submit and allow him to sanctify us,
Sure.
that
I
he's
mean,
actually making us
yeah.
more into what he wants us to be.
Yeah, 100%. But and you're right that this is like you who there is it I think that that's true though of many things that aren't motherhood. It's just true of sanctification, right? That as we do what God put before us to do, that it does conform us into his image as we faithfully pursue him in it, as we try to do whatever. I think that what makes motherhood unique is that it's an exponential growth moment
Uh-huh.
because it's more than one person. It's not just it's like the impact. I mean, years ago, somebody was like, "Why are you always talking to mothers? Like, there are single ladies out there too," that kind of a thing. And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know any single ladies that get up in the morning and ruin other people's childhood. Get up in the morning and give a bad representation of the gospel to someone." Like the reality is that mothers are in a really strategic position and as such, I think end up being more they're strategic both directions. Do you know what I mean? It's strategic for the enemy to take you out with a lot of discontent and complaining.
Uh-huh.
Because think of all the people that can impact.
Right,
You
and
know,
so quickly
you're
too.
like it's a bunch of people. It's their whole idea of what being a Christian is like. It's generations of people. So it is to me, it's just like, yeah, well, motherhood is wildly sanctifying, but it is also just like a pressure point that can impact a lot of things. Like it's a point where maybe the consequences of not following the Lord faithfully through hardship are high. If that makes sense. I guess like if I imagine my life in college, say that I got up, I'm just living my own life. I'm like going to go get coffee or something. And say someone I don't really want to hang out with appears and is like, I'll come with you to get a coffee. And you kind of feel the nudge of the Lord that you probably ought to do this,
Uh-huh.
but you don't want to. You're like, that doesn't sound good. So maybe you're just like, I changed my mind. I'm gonna go home. Like
Yes.
I'm just gonna tap out of this. Well, it could be kind of like, yes, if you were really walking with the Lord and feeling the prompting of the Lord, like maybe he put this person here because I need to do something, like I need to whatever. Like you feel that, but you reject that opportunity for growth. It's not going to wake up tomorrow bigger. It's not
Right.
going to like
Right.
roll into the next thing that you can. I mean, presumably it would in some level, but you know what I mean. But as a mother, you get up one morning and you are like resentful of the kids, and I wish I didn't have to do this, and I'm tired, and you got whatever bad
Mhm.
attitude. It's not going anywhere. It's like you need to get right with the Lord, or this is coming back, sevenfold
So
tomorrow and the
yeah.
next day and the next like
Yeah, in the next 5 minutes, it will
it's
be.
like actually you're kind of choosing between life and death right now. Like every little attitude thing is so strategic and important because of what large scale consequences it has.
Yeah, and it really does, like, if you let it, if you follow the Lord faithfully in it, which I really, at least my experience was, it was kind of one of those first times that I really felt like I was, Lord, I am walking hand in hand with you through every part of this day, and there's multiple times a day that it's like, "This feels so hard." Uh,
Mhm.
but it's just this, there's so much need for grace, and there's so much receiving of grace that you're just
Totally.
learning what that looks like in a really fast, like you were saying, it's just a very, it's all happening very quickly,
It
like.
is, and it's just a really important time, and I do think and this is an important thing. It's not that you can't wake up in the middle of the mess. Like that's a thing to keep coming back to is that God picks us up where we are and not where we should
Mhm.
have been. So it's not like you have a couple years of bad attitudes behind you. There's nothing can be done about it now. Throw in the towel and just let it be bad. It's like, no, of course you today follow the Lord. Today, repent of your sin. Today, it's not, I don't want to make it seem like, oh, you just have to get it all right from the beginning. Because none of us, none of us have done that. Uh, however, the concept of realizing that motherhood gives you an opportunity to submit your life to Christ in real time, multiple times in a day, usually. I feel like
Yeah. Oh,
that's
100%.
when the kids were really little, a lot of those that work was not instinctive yet.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it takes that.
you're like shocked that you're like, "What? Me? I have to do this? Why would I have to do this?" You know, why would I be the one that had to deal with this mess or have to get up in the night or why, whatever. There's a lot of things that just when it's all very new to you, it's a new position, it's challenging in a really new way.
Yeah, it really is, and so it's been 15 years. What
Yes.
do you feel like has changed? Because I feel a bit like, so when I read the book would have been probably 15. So it was after it was written a little bit, but since it's been written, culturally and sort of our world has changed with social
Yeah,
media
totally.
and things like that. So,
Right.
like the mothers, so I have a couple of young sisters-in-law who have either newborns or they're pregnant. My husband's the oldest of 7, so the younger half
Yeah.
of the 7 are really just getting into this,
Coming online, yeah.
and yeah, exactly, and they've gotten to watch us, but and I think this is so sweet and such a picture, like, as soon as they're doing it, it's different. Even though they've
Oh,
seen us
yeah.
do it, when you're doing it, it's so much different, and I love that for them. It's such a, like we've been talking about, it's such a period of growth that this is shaping who you're going to be. Like every time you do something sacrificially, it's you are
Totally. Yeah.
becoming more that way in other areas and growing, and it's great. But so what are your thoughts on like the mothering culture at the moment and how it's changed since the book has come out?
Oh, man. Well, the biggest thing I actually, this is maybe not exactly what you're asking, but is we edited. It's funny because it's like my position has not changed at all, but the world changed so much around the use of the word identity since I
Oh yeah.
wrote that. So there is one line in it that it's like seems bizarre to me now because I know I never meant that. When I wrote Yoo-Hoo, which is all about Christian identity, that book is a it kind of goes back to what I actually wrote my college thesis on. So
Okay.
my sandwiched in between there, I wrote Little Years. And that was addressing a very particular thing at the time of kind of the you have to have me time. Um, that was just a thing that was trendy at the time. But the point is, my position didn't change, but we did edit a section where what I was really just trying to say, and that I still believe, is that you don't exist as some isolated individual outside of your children and your husband and your situation. That there's not a true you that you need to cultivate that has nothing to do with your life, with your people, with your stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but that is a big thing because I think that some stuff has just gotten way deeper in the cultural bones, kind of like if something's not good for you, you should not have to do it.
Mhm.
And good for you is measured by
If I like it.
something you want to do. Yeah. Something.
If this is fun for me.
Yeah. Sacrifice is like, it's like kind of a post-Christian culture that is um really trying to not admire sacrifice, not admire people doing their duty, but rather to act like it's brave to not do it. It's brave to throw those things off. But I don't think that anything I do think social media poses a unique temptation to women now, but it's more like it's just more accessible. It's kind of like a drug dealer
Mhm.
moved into your own neighborhood, he's
Right,
just
it's
like
always
closer.
always been there, just
Yeah, I
readily
don't think it's any
available.
real new sin, if that makes sense. It's
It
the
never
old
is.
thing of discontent or envy
Uh-huh.
or ingratitude or, whatever, selfishness. It's all just the same old as dirt sin. It's just that it is has better filters, more fake content is coming by you all the time to try to influence you to be discontent, I
Well,
guess.
but do you think it because I think it poses this unique particular temptation that I don't know I mean, it's always been there, but it's like when people curate this beautiful moment or this beautiful life, if I mean, there may have been women doing I'm sure there have been women who present themselves that things are so much different than they are. But I
Right.
think before social media, it was easier
I
to
think
be
maybe
like,
you
"Oh,
could have
that's easy."
tried, but nobody would have been
But
looking. But
nobody yeah,
somehow,
or like nobody's
yeah,
buying it because they can see you walking around, like, they see enough of
yeah,
your life around it versus social media, it's so particularly curated that it seems like there would be a really strong temptation to fall for, like, this person has it all together, so therefore her parenting tips are probably spot on,
right. Or
even
actually,
if they're
maybe I was following this woman at the outset because I liked her information about houseplants. But
Huh?
and she's kind of a guru about the house plant, but she's turned into telling me why she's divorcing her husband. And because I feel like she's my girl, she's the person I like, then maybe my emotions are more swayed to, like to just come
Mhm.
along on stupid journeys with people.
Right, or
But
to
I
not
think
think through it
totally, and to not
outside of it.
evaluate
Mhm.
what you're inputting all the time or what you're doing. But I do think it's not a new thing. I think it's just readily accessible.
Yeah, that makes sense. That
You know
makes
what I mean? Like it could be your neighbor that you admired over the fence that you just kind of were slowly being influenced by. It could be something. I just I mean, I say all of that not to make light of what I think the hazards are on social media, um, because I really think that the vast majority of moms should probably get right on off it. Like I, I
Uh-huh.
mean, I am not on social media pretty much at all now. I mean, every once in a blue moon, I go unbrick my phone and check out what's for sale on Facebook Marketplace.
Well,
That's what
yes, it seems like it's such a strategic point for the enemy to use. I mean, like, even if it's not even for massive sin, it's just let's distract her, like, from
yeah, just
just
waste
waste
your
time
life, waste your
because
time.
he doesn't he do the enemy does not have to do that much if you're just distracted enough to not be
You're like,
not
but
be
does the enemy want to show me any more reels? I'm
yeah,
ready. I'm ready.
just pop them right on up.
Any
Oh,
more
that's
makeup
funny.
tutorials?
Yeah, things I did things that weren't even on my mind. Okay, so what do you this is a really good question because this has come up with, just other moms and women I've talked to. What do you do? What are your tips if a mom feels like she's read the book, maybe not even just this book, but just she's agreeing with what we're talking about here, but practically feels like this isn't working for me. Like I'm trying to do this, but there's not sweet fellowship. I just can't seem to get it. This picture that you're trying to give me is not working. What are your
But specifically, you're talking about fellowship. Like she's sort of like, I'm following the recipe and it's just not looking like a cookie. Like,
Yes, exactly. Like I'm following
okay,
I see what you guys are doing. I've read the books that you've read, but my kids are just not in fellowship with each other, but I'm disciplining and I'm trying these different things, but my kids are
right.
not being respectful and they're not being pleasant to be with and I am
Yeah.
just not enjoying
Okay, so
it.
this is this is the kind of thing that is the kind of question that you kind of need to know the particular person you're talking to,
Right, okay.
because I would say so I will give you some really general things like this would be like if you looked in the sewing machine manual, like why
Yes.
is my bobbin snaggling, and it's like, well, it could be this, or it could be this, or it could be, like there's a
Mhm,
lot of reasons it could be this way. um One thing I would say is it could be that you have an imaginary idea of what fellowship is like,
mm,
and so
mhm.
when God is giving you really sweet opportunities for that, you're not receiving it that way. You're like, this should be more perfect, this should be in an unfallen world, this should be, or like, this isn't good enough.
Well,
Do
or
you
yeah, I could imagine even a lot of at least in my with my kids, a lot of times the sweetest fellowship comes when am self-sacrificing.
totally, when you let down, when you drop your idea that was going to be the most fun thing for them, and you're like, let's just go with what clearly is being more fun for
Yeah,
you
like,
right
let me
now,
just
like,
love
yeah,
you and be okay with the situation that God has given me and just embrace exactly where we are right now and make this
totally.
fun and
And
funny.
so
That makes
some of
sense.
that I would say is that it could be a mom who's kind of anxiously trying to plug and chug to get results that are in her imagination, rather than receiving the gift she's currently unwrapping from the Lord.
Mhm,
And so I think if you are constantly receiving what the Lord has given you, there's a lot more to enjoy, because it's not, um, I can think of, here's a weird example. When Shadrach was, well, he's one, he broke his femur and he had to be in a body cast.
mhm.
And he turned two in a body cast, and the body cast goes up over his belly button and then down to around one heel, like all the way, and then down to the knee on the other leg with a bar in between his legs. So he was like stuck in a position like an action figure on a horse,
Poor
like kind of with your legs kind of bent.
Yes.
Um it's hideous, like really stuffy time, because I don't you probably haven't thought about changing diapers that are inside of a body cast, but
Nope.
it's real.
Never
So
been there.
Yeah, it's wild. You had to change a diaper, put a diaper on the inside of the body cast, and then wrap a diaper around the outside of the body cast to hold the loose diaper
Oh,
in there.
no.
Yeah, it's a little wild. However, what I'm saying is, in no world would you say, "Oh, my idea of really sweet mothering opportunities is a toddler in a body cast." You know?
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
that doesn't sound like something any of us would pick.
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
and yet there were really, really sweet moments with him all through that. Like the Lord just gave me so many. He turned two, so he wasn't super chatty yet. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like he was talking that much. He could talk, but not that much. And it was summer and hot, and being in a body cast when it was hot. Doesn't that sound terrible?
Yeah,
Anyways,
with diapers on.
yeah, it was awful. But I remember in the evenings, a lot of the time I would like lay him on the counter. Somebody described it, not him, somebody described their own kid in a body cast as a mermaid with a concrete tail. And that was actually exactly like it. It's like this big thunk, like you're putting the kid on the counter.
Yes.
But I would wash his hair, give him a bath of the top half of himself, and then take him on a walk outside in the stroller so that he could like see some stuff and whatever. But he would all the time put one little fat hand up to hold my hand. And we
Oh,
would go on a walk with him in the stroller in the body cast and talk about what we saw, dogs and stuff, and like just and have these super sweet moments. Well, that's not the kind of thing you can have if you're not willing to just receive what the Lord just gave you and then enjoy it. And then have those moments, because the reality is it was a big mess to have a toddler in a body cast.
mhm.
Like, and yet I still think of those moments with him as some of the sweetest. Like it was actually really precious the way that he was at that time. It was like a
Right.
very sweet time. And so that would be one thing. Okay, I got derailed there talking about the body cast.
I feel
Uh
like that's such a good picture though,
yeah, but I
of
would
like
say,
yeah,
yeah, I've just said this is not what I hoped for. This is a subpar opportunity. Um and so therefore I'm not enjoying it.
it would have been easy to miss under feeling like, "Okay, I
For
checked all the
me,
boxes, I took" poor me, like, when you even if you were doing the hand holding, but feeling like, "Well, poor me, this is just not at
right.
all my plan," you would
It
have
was an
missed.
easy time
Yeah,
to see the downside.
yes.
Like the downside was available. So
Okay.
anyway, so one thing I would say is maybe you're have an idea or you're comparing um in your mind to what you think someone else's family is like.
Mhm.
But you're not there, you don't actually know that. So that would be one thing. Another thing would be that you yourself are not kind of at rest with the Lord,
Mm.
that you're anxiously disciplining, anxiously, that you're doing all these things like I did everything I was supposed to do and it's still not working. Instead of realizing that I'm doing what the Lord wants me doing, but I am at rest in that busyness. I'm
Right.
this that there's a lot of things to do, but it's not by my strength that this will be sweet.
Well, and that really seems like that is a huge one because it's really easy to tell your friends about how you're doing all the things and it's not working. And it's a very different thing to go to the Lord and say, I'm offering this to you.
100%. And when
And
you
what
tell
are
your
you gonna
friends
do about like you will bring the fruit and I don't need to worry about the fruit. I just
exactly.
need to be offering everything I'm doing to you. So that's
Yeah.
very different
And
approach.
not the early results either. That
Yeah.
there's a lot of parenting that requires more than one afternoon of using the system. Like it's,
Oh, I
and
think that
if you're
too.
like, okay, I'm going to do all this today, but maybe I'm kind of being angry and I'm kind of doing it. And then I'm immediately complaining to all my friends about how it didn't work.
Mhm.
It's like, well, what you haven't done here is submit yourself to what the Lord is doing and how long it actually takes. That there are like it's easy to get frustrated with little kids who need to learn something, but the reality is they need to keep on learning it.
And
Like
yeah,
you're not, it's not a one and done situation. You need to keep on parenting them and keep on faithfully doing that. Um, and you can't just expect it to be like um just a one and done thing, Like, okay, I solved that puzzle, now I'm done. It just isn't like that. It's an ongoing work. It's an ongoing relationship to the Lord.
yeah, that makes sense.
I will say an image that I've used some, but not in the book, but I've used it since then is, when you're nursing a baby, that your body is doing things that are just way beyond you.
Yes. Yeah.
And your body is, boosting vitamins because of what it somehow found out the baby needed. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
your body is doing crazy stuff in that. But it's not because you were telling it what to do. You don't have a team meeting every morning to be like, I want more vitamin B, like or I sense a cold coming on, let's do this, or make sure you're getting my antibodies. Um, you don't actually have any of the wisdom that it would take to formulate breast milk.
Such a good example. That's so
It's
true.
like, but it's like, did the Lord bless you by making you a means of grace to that child? Like, he did it. You didn't. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's through you and
it's through you because you get to serve the Lord in this capacity.
exactly. Yeah,
And it's like, how kind of him that he let us be part of this kind of love to this child. Like, what a sweet thing that the Lord did that. But it's not, I nailed the breast milk today.
no, and you know what? That's actually like that is the perfect analogy for all of this because isn't that exactly what being a mother is? It's through us that the Lord is if we give
Nurturing
ourselves
and
yes,
protecting.
yes.
Yeah,
And
100%.
and totally like matches the sweetness or the bitterness that can come if you either lean into it. This is such a sweet time nursing babies. And it kind of falls apart because I know that there's the nursing is not always easy.
To end, it has its own troubles. Things happen.
It
Yeah, I know.
does. It does.
But
But
if
they're
you imagine
doing
it going well.
yes. It can either be this really sweet fellowship with your baby where you are enjoying this time together, or it can be a real like, "Oh, I have to go nurse the baby."
Yeah, totally. One of the ways that I think that this analogy actually is really helpful is a lot of people struggle with the idea of fellowship and what does it mean and how do you get it and how do you,
Mhm.
like, it's an intangible thing that's really hard to describe if you don't have experience with it. It's hard to imagine if
Yes,
it's like,
I was one of those. I was one
yeah.
of those that when I first heard people talking about fellowship, it was like, "That sounds so nice, but what are you saying? I don't
But
understand."
what is it? Yeah. This is why the whole book, Loving the Little Years, there's a ton of emphasis on your attitude,
Mhm.
your demeanor, etc. So I to continue the breastfeeding metaphor, that continues that if you are in fellowship with God and you are in fellowship with your child, God uses that as a means of grace that is way beyond our level of comprehension for how it is nourishing the child,
Mhm.
how it is, what is it teaching them, what is it, it's like, I don't know what it's teaching them, like, I because even if I made a list of the things I wanted to teach this child, I wouldn't get it right. You know, like,
Totally.
I don't have the knowledge that I need, but I do have fellowship with Christ and I have fellowship with this child. And God, in his great kindness to us, uses us to do the same thing he does with the breast milk. Like, he uses us to teach them and nourish them and strengthen them. But it's not because we are doing presentations. I mean, of course we do some of that, but we're not doing presentations on the felt board to teach them this. It's that God actually uses us in a really physical way to teach them things that we don't even know we're teaching them. Like
It really is so beyond what we can really even
100%.
grasp,
And it's
like
and this is why that steadiness of trusting the Lord
mhm.
is so important.
Well, yeah, and trusting the Lord like, through for the whole thing, that the whole thing
Totally.
is
Yeah.
going to be to his glory, and all we have to do is do the next right thing that he puts in front of us.
Totally, and not in a way that's like, "Oh, whatever will be. We don't need to worry about the," it's not like, I'm not trying to say you don't have to think about anything, you don't need to do whatever, but the priority of staying in fellowship with God and with your child, that is just wildly fruitful and nourishing for them. Like, that is really good for them. So that's why I think that first layer of, are you right with the Lord? Are you in submission with the Lord? Are you in a place where you're receiving from him? And then are you sharing that with your child? Like, are you sharing the joy of what God's doing for you with them? And that is, in that way, you're far more of just a conduit. You know what I And so that when you go back to that imaginary mother who's saying, "I'm doing everything right and it's not working," that sometimes there's sometimes maybe it's a basic thing, maybe your kid has an ear infection and they can't hear you, you
Yeah,
know?
right.
And maybe there's some glitch in the system, but overwhelmingly it is that you need to be right with God and at peace with God, and asking the Lord to give you the right opportunities to teach them things or show them things, or asking him to bless your efforts, and just resting in that. Like, um not otherwise trying to be like tapping out, like, just like, I did it, I don't want to deal with this or whatever.
Right,
If
checking
that
the
makes
box.
sense.
Yes, yeah, just checking the box to again, be able to say, "I did it and it's not working."
Well, because sometimes, I mean, I didn't mean to talk about breastfeeding this much, but say you nurse a baby and a couple hours later they're acting hungry. Would you say it didn't work?
You know what? That is exactly it, because the whole thing is, even though parenting is changing as the children are growing, it's the same thing. It's the same nurturing and disciplining and teaching and loving and the same ingredients all the time, but the Lord is doing so much more with it.
Totally. And he's doing with it is just infinitely beyond what we could have thought of to do.
I love that. And so okay, so bringing it back to the webinar, you're now seeing the fruit
Oh
of
yeah.
that with your oldest. So it's been 15 years. So yeah, the 15-year difference. Your oldest you said is 21? 20?
Yeah.
You say 21?
Mhm.
And she was 5. Is
Yep.
that right? So I mean, yeah, so 15
Yes, a
years
lot is
of that
different now.
kind of nurturing and loving and which has, I'm sure, changed so much. And we
Mhm.
are running out of time. But yeah, just what has that been like? What has it been like to see the fruit that you were believing in
Okay, so
then?
I would say the biggest thing I feel when I go back and revisit that stuff, the stuff I was
Mhm.
writing at the time, is that I would just say I never feel like, oh, do less. Like, if I could go back and give myself a pep talk
Mhm.
on those really bleak days, I would be like, lean in, like, offer it to the Lord, go hard, love these people. Do not, do not protect yourself from
Yeah.
your little fears about things or whatever. Just get it all out there, because this is like, I mean, it's so cliche that older mothers are like, it goes so fast. The older mothers, and you're like, it's the longest days I've ever lived.
It does go fast, though. I'm already
No, it
starting to
does,
feel
but
that.
it's weird because it is also true that I remember times where my husband is like, "I'm gonna be home late tonight." And I'm like, "What do you mean you're gonna be home late? Like, what are we talking about?" And I was in a phase of life where I feel like the, like, 3 to 5 minutes felt like something that was gonna be a deal. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
thir 13 minutes was like, we might be dead before you get here. It was like,
We can't make it that long.
don't know why you think I'm gonna survive until then. And it is just funny, like that kind of thing. I just would say
So funny.
it really is true that when you're older and you've seen so much of this, you see how kind God was. I feel like this is probably in Fit to Burst because I know I've written about it somewhere. Maybe it's in something else. Maybe it was in YooHoo.
Mm,
I can't know. I wrote it somewhere. But the image is just that you're doing something that you're trying to do. We had it was called the DR Field and Brush Mower when we bought some property and I was young. And it was this self-powered mower that had like big wheels so you'd hold on to it but it was just driving, it just would
yes.
take off and it could mow through like saplings. It was like an absolute monster. And it was the most out of control wild thing, like it was
Yeah,
wild.
yeah,
And I feel like this is parenting, is that you think I'm going to go make a beautiful garden. But what happens is you're dragging around behind this machinery that you cannot control and you're accidentally mowing over the orchard. You're like
uh-huh.
things are going hog wild. But when you've been doing that faithfully and you're, you know, talking to the Lord and offering it to the Lord and trying, and like faithfully showing up for the job. Long enough, a little bit into that, you look over your shoulder and you see that what God is doing with your wild, frantic, terrible efforts is actually beautiful. Like
Yeah,
that the things that he's accomplishing with you is way better than how it feels. What you're how you're feeling in the moment is not like, my, haven't I done a great job? You know, wow, look at how on top of it we are these days. Like that's not what it feels like. But you look back and what you see instead of, wow, didn't I do a good job? Which I will want to be clear, my retrospective look now is not tinged with that at all. Like I do not look back or look at my kids now and think, wow, I nailed it. Like what you see is just the overwhelming kindness of God. Like
yeah,
this is so wonderful and generous and faithful, and his kindness is overwhelming. It's not like I'm looking at my kids and thinking, well, at least we did a lot of spankings for fussing, or something like that. I look at them and I think, like, God is so faithful. And so the thing I would love to go back and tell myself or tell any mother who's in that situation now is just trust the Lord and work hard. Like trust the Lord and leave it all on the court. Like
yes, oh,
get
yes,
it done while you can, but do it from a state of confidence in God's faithfulness. Like he is doing something good and he's just letting you be part of it.
yes, it's so true, and he's so kind to let us be part of it, and when we're not looking at it like, "This is me doing all of this," there is so much freedom to just trust the Lord and be obedient and be
100%.
blessed by it.
Totally. And I don't think you can overemphasize that enough, that when you really are trusting the Lord and you see that he's using you in this, it shouldn't inspire you to not care. It should
Right.
inspire you to, in gratitude, let it all out.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. Okay, well, I am excited for the webinar. I've kept you much longer than I meant to.
Well, it's been nice chatting.
But so before you go, how do people sign up? How do they get in the webinar? I'll be there. I signed up and I'm so excited. But what are the details?
Do that part. I
Oh,
never am telling people that. I'm
that's
pretty
okay.
sure you can sign up on Canon Plus, or I hold on. I think it's Loving the Little Years. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I'll find it and I'll put a link in the show notes.
I was gonna say somebody did text me the I feel like it was lovingthelittleyears.com, but
I
maybe
think
it
so.
wasn't.
Yep,
Yeah, it
that
is.
sounds right.
Lovingthelittleyears.com or canonpress.com. And the webinar is just the times that it's live means that there will be time for a live Q&A, but it is recorded. You can watch it whenever. Yeah, I actually don't even know. I like what a great advertisement I am. You know what I will do? I will just show up is what I will do. I will show up and I will do what I do and the other people will do what they do and that's it. So,
That's wonderful. You will be there. You will be talking about a lot of the same things that we
probably
sort of
yes.
touched on here, and I'm so excited. It's gonna be so fun and so great, and thank you. This has been wonderful. I love that
My
you're doing
pleasure.
this. Um, let's see. I want to encourage all the listeners with truly all my heart to read this book, Loving the Little Years by Rachel Jankovic. Be encouraged, inspired, and
And go
seen.
get them.
Yes, go get it in the moment as you give it your all. Like, go raise children up in the faith to the glory of God and offer Him all of our efforts as we go. So, I could talk and talk about all of the various chapters and things, but we'll leave it here.
Got to
So,
stop somewhere.
yep,
All
we'll pick it
right.
back up in the hear you in the webinar. So, thank you again, Rachel. It has
You're
been
very
wonderful.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye.
Bye.